In this episode of Vinny Presents, my guest is legendary boxing Cutman and consultant to Stallone on the Rocky movies, the one and only Joey I. Stay tuned. Vinny Presents starts now.
From South Philly.
All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Vinny Presents. Today, it is my distinct pleasure to have a good guy who I've come to know recently. He's got an exciting background, and you just want to hear his story. Let me tell you, we have with us Joey I. Welcome to the show. Joey, how you doing, buddy?
Thanks, Vin. Glad to be on. Got a good show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you, Joe. Now, let's get into it. You know, we got the Rocky thing. Those of you that know you, they know you got a story to tell. But let's try to, condense everything in the time that we have, which is impossible, but that's okay. But let's talk about...
Well, you know me well enough to know that you got to kind of shut me up, you know. As the Italians say, I'm a caqueron, you know.
No, that's a good thing in this business. Plenty of material to work with. So, Joe, let's get...
I know when to cut it off, though.
Let's get into it. Let's talk about your history. Obviously, you have boxing history. You got a lot of different things you've been involved in.
Yeah, my roots, yeah. Oh, gosh. Go all the way back to the old country there. I was born in Palermo, and I was sent here and adopted. Long, crazy way it worked out, but, you know, here I am, and, you know, and I, grew up in a really tough neighborhood in North Philly, and they really didn't have any Italians, so it was really rough. And so I got, being little, I'm still little, but I was really little, and got beat up a lot. Just was picked on, you know, bullied. And I was always different too, so that didn't help. You know, my father tried to get me to go to the gym and learn to box and this and that. And you know, a friend of mine who was boxing, the big kids would make him beat me up, you know, to practice his boxing on after school. Yeah, I'd be walking home like, geez, oh man, you know, and he was smaller than me even, but he was fast and quick, and he'd go, why don't you come to the gym and learn? I was like, then I get beat up there too. I was like, I didn't want any kind of contact sport. I ran track. That's about, you know, my mother wouldn't let me play football or anything. I was too little at the time then. I mean, I did years later play football, but, you know, and then this happened, Rocky 2. They came to my school, picked all the kids who were athletes and brought them in a room. And they're asking, you know, what do you play? What do you play? And they got to me, they go, what do you play? And I said, I don't play anything. They're like, well, what are you doing here? I go, they told me they wanted the athlete. Well, what do you do? I go, I run track. They went, oh, what, do you want to run with Rocky? I was like, sure. And my dumb ass thought he was real. You know, I'm like 9, almost 10 years old. And, you know, I thought, geez, you know, I got to get to be in a movie. He's just like me. You know, he's small, he's Italian, he's left-handed. You know, I was like, boy, I want to be just like him, you know, and I got to run with him, and we ran all day long. I ran up and down those 72 steps. That's how many there are. The little steps, my little legs were getting me up there like first, and everybody wanted to get there, and I got there first at one point, and he just reached down and put me on his shoulder, and he's like, how you doing? You know, I was like, oh my God. You know, like I tell everybody all the time, he put me down probably because they said cut, but probably because I probably peed on him. You know, I was so excited, you know. But my father didn't even ask why, but when I ran home that night, after running all day long and night, I said, now I want to go to the gym. My father went, good, I'll take you to the gym. And that Monday, boom, you know, it's like 1979 and never looked back. And
what gym was that, Joe?
It was called the Kensington Ramblers Gym at H and Tioga in Kensington. So it was a real rough neighborhood, real tough part of town. Walked in that gym, and I remember got to spar just the first night I was there, and they would pair off, and the trainer, who was a friend of mine's father, he said, oh, well, maybe Joe doesn't want to spar. It's first time. And I was scared to death. So I said, I didn't want to look. I was like, no, I'll you know. So the kid that I sparred with, he thought he was going to beat the crap out of me. This kid from my neighborhood. And I don't know what, but I just probably being scared to death, I just threw punches and mangled him all over the place. And he never came back. And he would always say, oh, how come you didn't come back? Oh, I've been sick. Yeah, you've been sick. He got embarrassed. But, I was an amateur for a while. I became a pro, had a knee injury, had to get out of it. And that's how I got into becoming a Cutman and everything is what my main thing that I do in boxing. It's called me Joey I. last name begins with the letter I, but it became EYE because I'm the guy that fixes your eyes. And, it was kind of, I felt lost for a while. I was, at the time I was training at the Philadelphia Boxing Club, right up, right by Pat's and Gino's Steaks. And, you get up 5 o'clock in the morning, you go running, then you go to work, and then you go to the gym, and, you might go to other gyms to spar, and then you got fights coming up, and all of a sudden that just like, bam, that ended. And I didn't, really know what to do. And, but when I had been an amateur still, I had a few friends that were like pros that were like, shouldn't have been fighting anymore. And like nobody wanted to work with them. So they asked me, hey, could you work my corner? And I said, okay. So I got together what I figured I needed and worked a few corners while I was only like 18, 19 years old. And I thought, when I'm done fighting, this is what I want to do. And I was reminded of that by my father and my wife, who was only my girlfriend at the time. So we're going back over 30 years. And didn't you say you want to be a cut man or something? I said, well, yeah. And they would go, well, you know all the guys to learn from. So there were 3 different cut men and that I learned from that took the time to teach me. And one was Eddie Aliano. He was from South Philly. He had run the Passion Gym. That's like where Stogie Joe's is. Used to be up on the 3rd floor there.
I remember that.
And another guy, Adolph Rattacco, who had trained Joey Giardella. And he was a real old cat, so he was long done. So I used to go to Pinot's bar and sit on the bar stool, and he'd tell me things, And people think he's my grandfather. They actually want to make a movie about Joey Giardella, and the first person cast, it hasn't happened yet, but they came to me and said, "Do you know a guy named Adolph Rattacco?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, he taught me." And they were like, "In the book about Joey Giardella, they describe him. It's you." 5'2", barrel-chested, tattooed, and either telling a joke or smacking you in the face. I went, yeah, that's me. I said, I know him in and out. I said, I can play him, I'll just play me. It'd be the same person. But, and then there was another guy who worked at a fire station at 4th and Snyder. They called him Stan the Cutman. And so there was those 3 guys I learned different little things from, and when it was my time, I jumped in it and never looked back. And 4 Hall of Fames later, I was 15-time Cut Man of the Year in Pennsylvania, to the point where I had to step aside and say, give it to somebody else. Well, for the past 7 years, they've been doing it, and they'll do it again this year. And it's called the Joey Eye Award, and I give it out. It's got a big eyeball on the award, and I give out the award. It's pretty cool because I'm not dead. You got an award named after you, But I've just, never looked back with any of it, and during the time of that, also being a cut man, I'm just always on the hustle. So I've always gotten it, So I was approached to do movies. I started doing I did a few prison movies, then mob movies and things. I was like, you're never going to see me play a doctor, Like I said to you when you called me about the part, I was like, so you want me to play a doctor, right? You were like, oh man, we don't. I just saw it in your head. You were like, how do I get a doctor into this? He wants to be the doctor. Like, no, we don't need to. I'm never going to play a doctor. But I'm fine with that. It's great. But
I was actually thinking about you the other day. I said to myself, for my next project, I got to think of something for you that doesn't involve being a mobster.
Yeah, that's going to be hard, But it is what it is, And and having lived so long in the area downtown, you're around people that it's just, sometimes you channel them into the parts that, because, how you see things, it's such a close-knit neighborhood that, you see things all the time that other people go, like, you don't even pay attention to. But then when it comes time to do something for a movie, you're like, yeah, I'm going to be him. It'll be this guy, like I'll pull him,
It's called character research.
Yeah, it really is. And we don't even have to research. It's just, it's thrown it at, on you. And, but yeah, I did a lot of stuff, and I got talked into, when I was done fighting, into becoming a professional wrestler. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? These guys are gigantic. I'm 5'2". Like, what? They're like, nah, it's going to be great. And you'll do a Rocky character. You'll be as if Rocky. Because I was like, all right, so I had to do the voice, and I'm wearing a fedora, the gloves with no fingers, and the leather jacket. And instead, on the back of my gray t-shirt, instead of the Italian Stallion, I was the Palermo Pony. So, and it was, they play the Rocky music. I come out, get beat, thrown around by like King Kong Bundy or Jimmy Snuka, one of these guys, and they're throwing me. But then all of a sudden I'm getting beat up and they start playing the Rocky music and I come back somehow and, choke one of these giant guys out or something, But while I'm getting beat up, it'd be funny, like there'd be people heckling me in the audience with bad Stallone movies. People be like, "You were better in Judge Dredd." It's like, oh yeah, absolutely. And then I'm in the back. I have my son who's like now 26. He was like 2 years old, and he'd be part of the gimmick. They put him in. He'd be dressed like Rocky, come in with a stickball bat and start hitting the guy to like make things change. And then my father pull him back out and run away.
So, Joe, how was the transition into the movie business?
That was like I said, when I was little, I was in Rocky 2, but I had always wanted to do stuff. And I happened to be over on Passyunk Avenue on 61st and Passyunk Junkyard, right? A friend of mine, Sonny Averone Jr., And I'm at his place, and I would stop by to see him, or maybe I needed something, whatever. But some older guy comes in and goes, and I had just got done work or whatever. I probably think I was wearing a hat like this or whatever. And he looks at me, he goes, "Hey, kid, you should be in the movies." I went, "Yeah, okay, buddy." I was like, "Who the frig is this guy?" And he goes, No. He does some little bit of movie stuff here, and he's been, he goes, and the guy goes, "I'm gonna get my camera. I'm gonna take pictures." I said, "What's with this guy?" Come takes a picture. Not much time later, he's either calling me or people. He sent my headshots to people, and they were like, "Yeah, can you be in this prison movie? Can you be in this one? Can you do?" All of a sudden, I would just start. I think I probably just from that time, and that guy's passed on now, but we had done a million things together, right? And before he had died, I got him in the Creed movie because I handpicked all the people for the Creed movie because I was the technical advisor, and but having that start like that, it was just really odd, but I also got into doing stunts and things for the movies and stunt driving and things also too because of the wrestling stuff. So they figure, oh yeah, he can be a stunt guy because he's doing stunts in the ring. And, one night I was jumping out a 3-story window and started snowing. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning and we were in Germantown somewhere. I'm jumping, and I'm going, "Joe, where do you want the pad?" I'm going, "Yeah, that looks about right." I'm like, yeah, first time I jumped out, only half of me landed on the pad. My legs hit the ground. I'm like, "Yeah, all right, move it back a little." And I was like, "What am I but, so got to do that. And then I got to do some of the stunts, like driving stunts, because I got it into my head to be doing a tribute to Evel Knievel. He was probably around the time when he was like dying or had just died. And he was like, when we were kids, he was, he was a god, and I always wanted to be like Evel Knievel too. So I got into my head. I got an big old motorcycle like he had, and I put on a red, white, and blue outfit and called myself the Evil Eye. Mm-hmm. And would jump over 5 cars to a ring of fire. Now, he had done way more cars than that, but I did something that he never did. I was doing those in the parking lot where the fights were going on. I would be working the corners. The announcer would say, "Hey, there's Joey I over there. You see him doing? He's working on that cut right now." Well, folks, stick around because your ticket buys you to see him risk his neck out in the parking lot. He's going to jump over 5 cars, a ring of fire. So as soon as the fights were getting over, I'm in the back. I'm changing. My father and a couple other guys are lining up the cars in the ramp, and my buddy's friggin' lighting up the friggin' flames. And I would jump over 5 cars to a ring of fire. And after a while, I was like, this is getting too easy. I either got to add cars or stop. And I said, I think I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. I said, and I said, I haven't had an accident or anything like that serious. I said, and I said, I'm like, I said, I'm not Evel Knievel. I'm Joey I. I just want to be Joey I. I said, I did it enough. I said, but, I did have one stunt left set up that I was wanted to do. I really wanted to do it. And it was at the Blue Horizon in North Philly. And that was like the fight place to be at. And it's long closed down now. But before it got closed, right before it got closed down, I worked it out with the promoter that I was going to jump over the ring before a show, and they were going to sell tickets in the balcony. And I had it all worked out, and if the ring was there, but there was only like an 8-foot span between the lights and the ring, and so I had to like smaller bike and jump over and kind of duck my head, go down a ramp, but then up another one because it was a stage, and then kind of like hopefully stop in time, but have the wall padded so I could kind of just like dump the bike into the wall and hey, but they got shut down and they closed it for tax purposes and all this other. Now it's long gone, but that was the one I really was like, but a lot of people go, I think you're better off you didn't do that because you probably would have died on that one.
Maybe it was destiny.
Maybe. But that got me a lot of stunt work in movies and stuff where it'd be like car stunts and things like that because of people saying, well, he can handle all this. So go. And that was cool. That's something, if I had lived in California, I think that's what I probably would have rather been a stuntman.
So Joe, let's take us through it. So now you went from basically being on Stallone's shoulder to now being in the actual movie as a grown man. And did he remember
myself?
How was that interaction with Stallone when you met him after all those years?
That was I had met it, like I said, when I was a little kid, and then I met him again in Rocky V. He came to the gym, the Philly Boxing Club in South Philly, and he knew the owner. And they were looking for guys. If you remember, Rocky V was with the heavyweight Tommy Morris and Tommy Gunn, and so they were looking for heavyweights to fight him, in the fight scenes. So they come in and Stallone's there, and I'm over there. I just had walked in, and again, I had a hat on. I came from work. People don't change. I always thought people, But I just come in from work. And I walk over, and Stallone's going, yeah, I'll take him. We'll take him. And he goes, yeah, we'll take him. And I went, whoa, I'm not a heavyweight. He goes, I'm a lightweight. He goes, no. He goes, just like that. He said, we'll use you as a corner man. Wear that hat. And I said, and the guy, Gabe, who owned the gym, he was like, Gabe DeMarco, he was like, Joe, you always said you want to do movies and stuff, more movies. He said, I don't have a problem with it. I was just saying, like, you got the wrong guy if you think I'm going to be the heavyweight fighting another heavyweight, and he said, no. And, so I got like this little bit part where one of the Frazier's, a relative of Joe Frazier, he gets knocked out by Tommy Gunn, and we jump up as he gets knocked out, and it's like, damn, and you kind of just like, you see about this much of me, you know what I mean? It was like, so that's my Rocky V I'm in, because I'm in 4 of them technically, you know what I mean? But coming around, the last time that I was with him was making Creed, and it was funny because, like I said, it was like a full circle thing. Like I got to be in Rocky 2, and that got me to want to be a fighter. Now all of a sudden, all these years later, they got me playing myself, and I was the technical advisor and everything for the movie, and it was like I'm in a Rocky movie as myself. It was very surreal, and we were rehearsing. I built a rehearsal gym, did all that kind of stuff for them. I was getting anything they needed and any of the people they needed. I'm like, need this fight or that fight. The director calls me one day and says, give me all your Italians. And I said, what do you mean? Fighters or anybody involved in boxing that's Italian? I said, there's not that many, but I said, I'll scrounge them up. I said, not many of us left. So, and the fight, they wanted to have a gym that was all Italians. I said, what? I said to Stallone, what world you living in? I said, when I met you the last time, and you came looking for heavyweights at the Philly Boxing Club, was in an all-Italian neighborhood, and how many Italians were in that gym? The owner and me. And he was like, yeah, you're right. I was like, he was, with me, he was very good and very... listen to anything I had to say because I was detective. Because he would say, ask him, or like when Michael B. Jordan's hands were wrapped, I did that. And we were on the set one day, and I'm taking care of something else, and the guy, his hands had to be wrapped, and I said, I'll get that in a few minutes. And I wrap hands like super fast. When I wrap the hands, like this guy's standing there taking an hour to wrap one hand. 5 minutes, I'm done both. And if I go slow, I'd probably mess it up, I always say. So I'm like, it looks like it's in fast motion when I'm doing it. So I said, 5 minutes, no problem, we got it. He, all of a sudden, another guy who was from California, was like a technical advisor too and whatever, and he decided he was going to do it. He was a boxing trainer, but that doesn't mean you're good at wrapping hands. I mean, I probably wrapped 1 million hands, it's what I do. And all of a sudden, it looked like somebody had Civil War bandages on Michael B. Jordan's hands. Stallone starts screaming, "What the he's going off. He's, who did this? Joey Eyes, he couldn't have done this." And I walked over and said, "No, I didn't." And I go, and he goes, "Who did it?" And I know who did it, but I didn't say nothing. And I looked at the other guy, and the guy went, he put his head down. He goes, "You wrap these hands?" He goes, "Yeah. Who told you to wrap the hands?" He goes, "Oh, I thought it was helping." He goes, "How you helping? That's his job. He knows what he's doing." He said, "Now we got all this time we're losing and this and that." And I go, "Relax." I said, "Don't worry about it. It only take 5 minutes." Like I said, somebody get me 4 rolls of gauze and 2 rolls of tape right now. Boom, boom. I said, "Sit down." Bring him. I said, I told the other guy, "Cut that crap off of what you did." He cuts it out. Boom. And he was like, and all of a sudden, Stallone's, "Oh, wow, okay. Good. But that's what I like with me. He was, super great. Creed movie probably was the only boxing movie that had everybody in it, other than Michael B. Jordan, were real fighters, trainers, managers, referees, and I handpicked them all. They would call me, "Oh, we need a black ref." "Okay, what year? Well, how old?" Like 40 something. I got a guy. Tell the guy, "Put your stuff on, go down to the casting agency." Boom, boom. They're like, "Oh, we need a Spanish guy. We need a referee. We need 2 managers that look like they were there since the day the building was put up." I was like, "Okay, 2 old time guys, I got you." Well, and I would send them whoever, and they'd all get, all got in because they were all real people. But I always think that makes for the authenticity, because sometimes, especially somebody like me, is watching a boxing movie and someone's having a conversation, and Mickey and Rocky are talking, and some other guy over there like going like this, and like, this guy never fought a day in his life. You can tell they're actors. They might be in pretty good, decent shape, but that doesn't make you know how to throw a punch or hit the bag. But
authenticity is everything. As we know, authenticity is everything. Now, Joe, let's talk about what's going on now. What do you got lined up? What we want to tell you what it's about? You got some stuff in the works. Let's talk about that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, a couple things. Like I said, we got the Salute the Philly Boxers is coming up with the awards dinner that the Joey Ioby Award I'll be handing to someone this year. That's January 5th. Well, I've got a web series that we're working on with a friend of mine that Sonny Velosi, you had on your show. We play the Sharkey twins, ironically, and if you know Sonny, he's 6 foot tall, and we don't look anything alike, so it's it's a comedy. But we're these bumbling, like, half-ass, wannabe wise guys, kind of like Pope of Greenwich Village, like those kind of guys, like always trying to hustle. But we're hustling people all the time, but we wind up with the raw end of the stick most of the time. And actually using real-life stories that have happened, a lot of them to me, that we're incorporating in this, and so we're filming it all over, like in South Philly and
nice.
Other parts of Philly, a couple gyms and different, using one of the mummers clubs and stuff like that to do it. So we're we're working on that. We're up to episode 4. We're gonna get about eight in before we put it out, and again, like, hoping that Netflix, we'll do it. We can definitely do it on Amazon Prime, but I'd like to maybe get it to Netflix, You see on Passion Ave that big statue of the fighter? That's Joey Giardello. Yeah. Good friend of mine, knew him great. One of the best middleweights ever. Long passed away. I was there when they dedicated the statue and everything. It was great, And, well, that sculptor I know very well. And he also did a sculpture of Jersey Joe Walcott, who was from Camden. So it's over in Camden on the waterfront. Another incredible statue. Well, he seems to have something about guys named Joe. He recently contacted me and asked me if if I'd give him permission to make one of me. And I said,
wow.
You think you had to ask? I was like, you think you want to make a First of all, I don't know why. Why? And he said, and he's a very big boxing buff and everything. He used to come in the gyms and work out and spar. He's like a very artsy guy, but he was like, come in and slum it with the guys and spar with them and stuff. And he's done many different boxing statues. And, because I always used to kid him. And I used to say, Carl, I said, when you make my statue, you won't need much material. And he would always laugh. He goes, I know you always said that, but I'm serious. I want to do that. I will call it the Cutman. He said, but it's you. You're going to take a thing of my face. I got to sit and pose for it. It's like an action scene of like me working on a guy. And all the way down to my tattoos, they're going to etch those into the bronze. And I just said, well, you got my permission. You didn't need it. And he said, no, and it's going to first be, he said, like an international thing. We're going to take it to museums around the world first or something. I don't know. But
that's fantastic, Joe.
Yeah. I mean, I got another guy come to me, has a cigar company, wants to put my name on a cigar. I don't know how that's going to make it taste any better, but okay. I want to call Joey I round one. It'll be the first one to come out. I says, okay, so
I want to throw it out to you. Obviously, you have the podcast, Sign on the Prize.
Yes.
Also, and we're going to have a link with where to find Joe, obviously, online and all your social media. And I'm going to throw my little selfish plug in there, but we're doing also, we did a great job in Washington Avenue, which is my filmmaking debut.
Yeah, well, that was great. That was, I love doing that. I love I'm telling you, I would rather be in a small film like that than be some guy to go, oh yeah, there's my arm in The Godfather. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather have a juicy little part. And you made that part. You asked me, no problem. Like I said, originally when you said it to me, I said, oh, so you're making a mom movie as a type film. You want me to play the doctor, right? You're like, like, I just heard in your mind, the wheels are going, how do I make him a doctor? We don't have a doctor. And you said, I go, I'm joking. I'm like, let me guess. We're all black. I'm going to be a mob guy. I got no problem with that. No problem. And but you added more lines for me. It was and it was good. And you let me make it my own and just and kind of a channeling like all the bad guys that were always in the mob movies like Joe Pesci and Richard Widmark. I was like kind of chuckling a little there. And James Caan, as Sonny in The Godfather, which.
You certainly made that part your own, man. And it was a real pleasure and honor having you. But again, folks, I would highly, highly encourage you to check out more about Joe. He's got a lot more to talk about. He's got a lot more history that, unfortunately, this podcast, this small podcast, can't fit it all. But we'd definitely love to see you back here, and we'll make sure we support you in everything you do. Joe, any closing statements for the gang out there?
Well, I always like to tell people, never let anybody tell you can't do anything, because I've been told that my whole damn life. You want to do it? Go for it. Try. What's the worst that can happen? Worst that happen is somebody say no, or the worst could happen, it failed. I'll always say you got to always take the shot and never turn anything down. And on that note, everybody just keep on punching.
Thanks again, ladies and gentlemen. You have been listening to and watching my man Joey I. Make sure you stay tuned for him. If you haven't already, please follow me, subscribe. Check out Joey's podcast, Eye on the Prize. Follow him and that upcoming series with the main man, Sonny Velosi, dear friend and a great, great, talented man himself. Until next time, I see you again, Joe. Thanks again, buddy.
Thank you.